gentlemen, do not attempt to adjust your software. There is nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this special show. The Mothership flies through cyberspace one more time. My name is Toby Maxwell. I am one of your co-hosts, also known as the King of Uranus. Our distinguished panel, to my right, to your left, Greg DeGuire, the, how can I say, the super geek, the idiot savant in a positive way, ladies and gentlemen. He knows just about everything there is to know. And our millennial falcon, Carrie Turner, joins us today, once again, in our brand new set in the compound. We can't tell you where the compound is. We'll have to find you and kill you, but let's rest assured that the budget is up to double figures. We've got a brand new table, and we're moving up the ranks.
$2 is now our budget. From $1 to $2, that is double digits.
Hopefully, President Trump will give us a little bit of
a small loan of
a small grant, something like that. It's already trillions.
Maybe we can get free pieces of his wall to build a table or a flooring or something.
We're going to build a wall here on the Mothership. Now, we have a special guest here, too, and I'll let Greg introduce our very special guest in studio.
Well, Mothership fans, we have author Anita Meyer. Finally on the show. How many books have you got out now, Anita? What are we after?
4 books.
4 books.
Let's hold up some of your books.
The 5th.
Now, which one's first? Yeah, you should hold it up.
My first one is not here. It's the Primordial Language. But then my second one here is In Search of the Holy Language. Mm-hmm. And the third one is Beyond the Bible Code. And the newest one is Incredible Secrets of Scripture Unlocked.
Nice.
Secrets of Scripture. Is this? Now, people are always going to go make a comparison to the Da Vinci Code. You know, it's not that. So let's talk about what it is.
Right. This is not the Da Vinci.
Not Da Vinci Code. What are some spiritual scriptures? Any scriptural secrets? Any winning lottery numbers in there?
Well,
we kind of Noah's Ark. I'm sorry, Anita.
To me, this book is better than the Da Vinci Code. It contains a very spiritual and scientific explanation to our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's pretty deep.
What my book actually, the main parts of, the most important parts of the book is that there's a mathematical unit that's found in the natural world, and it's, if you're familiar with the Fibonacci sequence.
And who isn't?
It goes 001. It goes 001 2 3 5 8. When you add the last 2 numbers together, you get the next number. And basically, it's the number, the unit of growth of when the next branch is on a tree is going to grow.
Stop. 588-2300. What's the magic number that you just said there? Should we run that across the screen?
So then it gets deeper because there's 2 numbers that are in the Fibonacci sequence. When you divide them, you get the golden ratio, which is 1.618, which is the spiral that we see in shells, like seashells.
Mm-hmm. I'm lost, but keep talking.
So this spiral, I show in my book here that there's a spiral form that this unit of growth produces, and when you turn this spiral around in all different directions, you get all the Hebrew letters. You get all the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet.
Okay.
So it's not only intelligent design, but it's divine design.
So are you coming at this from an author's point of view, from a believer's point of view, from a skeptic's point of view, or from an open-minded point of view? Do you have a slant anywhere?
When I first started my research, I was a skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
When I discovered all this, I became a bona fide believer.
Okay.
And it gets a little bit deeper because not only are those units of growth mathematical, but then it goes into the science of sound and frequency, mm-hmm. which produces the letters from the actual sound itself. So in my book here, I go to explain that the reason that the Hebrew letters are called like Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, like for instance, Aleph, when you say Aleph, in this specific sound program that is available on the internet, it's called Rational Victory. It's free, and you can download it. And what this program is that when you pronounce the Aleph, when you say Aleph, in the sound program, you're going to get an image that looks like the Hebrew letter Aleph. And that's why it's called Aleph. Mm-hmm. And the same with Bet, the Hebrew letter Bet, which is our English letter B. Mm-hmm.
So alphabet, is there any connection there? Or?
Yes, because that's the cover
of
my
book.
Do they make
the cereal? Do they have the Hebrew alphabet cereal with the 22?
Yeah, that's the cover of my book because it's
free to read in every other box.
Right. Sorry, we're just making fun.
It's the Aleph and the Bet.
Oh, very good. Okay.
In the spiral form here on the cover of my book.
Mm-hmm. You're way deep, and this is fascinating stuff. But I'm thinking, how did you go from just Anita Meyer person that wants to be an author into this deep subject? It's not a romance novel, is it? Most people said they read a romance novel, they're memoirs. This is pretty deep to jump off on this. How did you get into this topic?
Well, firstly, I'm a visual pattern mechanizer, and so
Okay.
I notice a lot of patterns in the natural world. And also my upbringing.
And she'll notice a pattern in the basement.
Yeah.
Give us an example of a pattern.
This is all code right here.
Like
It's all code.
the Chicago Bears lose football games. There's a pattern right there. The Chicago Cubs, 108 years before they win the World. Is that a pattern, or am I just making things up?
Yes, there is a pattern there. There's a code.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Nothing happens by coincidence.
I don't have a date on Saturday night. Pattern for the last 487 Saturdays. Is there hope? Can you change patterns? Are they normal? Do we have anything into creating them as people, or just pretty much this is what we get? Like the creation of the earth. We get what we get.
I think we have alternatives. But there's only a certain amount of paths. Everything is recorded. If you read my book, Beyond the Bible Code,
Is that number one?
I go to
Okay.
explain that nothing happens by coincidence. It's all encoded in the Torah. The first 5 books of the Torah is where you mainly find most of the codes. And there you can find that a comet is going to destroy the Earth, and then you'll find another one where the comet is destroyed. So everything that you can possibly think of is encoded in the Torah. It gives you
Winning lottery
alternatives.
numbers?
It gives, I'm sure, yes.
Scratch off maybe? $100?
Yes.
$1,000.
Yes.
$10,000 would be nice.
The winners are in there, I'm sure.
I always figure, why don't psychics do that? You figure if you have psychic messages, why don't you just go right for the lottery and close your business?
Isn't it against their personal code to do that
No,
sort
it'd
of
be
thing?
against mine. Sorry, I'm just speculating, Anita. You don't get on a normal talk show and get questions like this. This is completely unique.
My
We are
subject's
Abby
not
normal
completely
talk
normal
show.
either, so.
What kind of response have you got from the public, the people that just are turned on to this and say, "Boy, this is really curious"? Do you find you get fans? Do you find you get people that fight your theories? How do you get your reaction? What do you notice?
Usually when I do conferences, people are very amazed. And I have the spiral form. I have a model of the spiral form, and I show.
And you didn't bring it?
I didn't today. No, I'm sorry.
Our next guest on the Mothership, we have someone who bowled a 250.
We'll have to bring her on again, I guess is what that means.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, how is the book available? How can we get a hold of a copy?
My books are available in all countries, I presume, according to my publisher. And Barnes & Noble is a big one here.
Oh, wow.
Amazon.com. Also
Okay.
my publisher,
Plug your publisher. I'm sure they'll be watching at some point.
Dragon Eye Publishing.
See?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's uncomfortable silence right now. Greg, anything we can
Well,
understand?
I've read these 2 books, Beyond the Bible Code and Search the Holy Language. I've read those 2 books, and I found them absolutely fascinating because you're right. There's nothing coincidence. Everything is there for for a reason. Nothing happens by accident, and you talk in detail about that, and I found that to be absolutely fascinating. It's a unique perspective, things I hadn't thought of before that you bring to light. That I thought it gives me a new ways of thinking of things, a different way to approach how you think about how things are formed, even in different patterns of flowers. There's spiral sequences everywhere. All this can't all be coincidence. If it is, it's a hell of a coincidence. But in nature, as you find, there are hardly coincidences. Most things are done for a specific reason. We may not always know what that reason is, but clearly it's done by reason. There's no accident. That's what I thought anyways.
Somebody told me sometime that nature has clues. For example, when you cut a carrot in half, it looks like an eye, and that means it's good to help your eyes. And there's I don't say I thought that was pretty fascinating. I never heard that before. Things like that. Or you look at a tree when the leaves are off, it looks like arteries and blood vessels.
Or a kidney bean looks like the kidney.
Absolutely does. Or a swimming pool, a kidney-shaped pool, or a pool-shaped kidney. Well, why do I always be the one that just stopped the conversation and move it along? And so now, are you working on another book or anything else? Obviously you have 4 books, and no offense, I didn't think there would be 4 books worth of information on this topic, but you just have to be scratching the surface right now.
Yes, and I'm working on several other books at the same time.
Oh, wow.
a conspiracy theory.
Greg is our man.
That's right up our alley.
Yep. And
Are you free at liberty to say what the conspiracy is?
It's going to be talking about the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh. Okay.
You are definitely coming on again.
Yes.
So do you think, in your opinion, there really is one?
Oh, definitely.
So the movie was not Indiana Jones?
I mean, the movie, I think, took certain liberties, but I don't think they were exactly wrong. I don't think the Ark is quite that size. It was probably a little bit smaller. But I think it did have a lot of properties that made it unique as far as... I know the electrical power that the Ark had was probably a lot of static electricity because it didn't have it wasn't a wool blanket covering the thing, and if it had gold on the outside, it was covered in wool and it dry, and you take the wool off, and it probably had sparking effects to it. So some of the things can be explained, but then some of the things can't be explained.
So if you have it, can you get HBO in your house? Like
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Pick up foreign radio stations?
Now, they say that the Ark's remains is in Ethiopia now. Some would say, sure, it's nailed down, that's how people got it out. Some would say it was in Solomon's temple and it escaped that way. There's a lot of different theories as far as the hows, whys, and wherefores of the Lost Ark of the Covenant. I think they're all interesting. It's a fascinating story.
Carrie, anything from our Millennial Falcon?
I want to... Okay, so you said you were a skeptic before. This is what I keep coming back to. So you went from a skeptic to a believer. How do you apply this in your real life, then?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Well, I have faith, and the Hebrew word for faith is called emunah.
Okay.
And daily miracles happen to me where...
You're on this show?
It could not be coincidence.
Right.
Name one. Give us an example of a miracle. Let me guess. You went through the drive-thru window and you got what you ordered. You got exactly what you ordered, and it was hot.
Okay.
The fries
All
were
right.
hot.
I'll say this one, but it
Okay.
will totally incriminate me.
That's okay. Good. We're up for that. That's good broadcast.
I got into the Kenosha courthouse
Okay.
with a taser in my purse.
Wow.
That was the first time. I had to be there for somebody. I had to be there, and sure enough, I was going to get in there. The second time was I got into the courthouse in Milwaukee
With a taser.
and I had to be there. And they had the wand, and they put it over me, and they went through every single compartment in my purse except for the compartment that the taser was in.
Oh my God.
Is that a taser in your purse, or are you just...
So that's a miracle.
It is, because I had to be there, and nothing was going to stop me.
Did the higher power suggest that you take this taser into a courthouse?
No, I just completely forgot it was there.
You ran into a burning bush.
Oh, how many times do I have a
"Take this
bazooka in my
taser."
pants and I forget that? I got a grenade in my shorts. I'm going to go into the grocery store
Well, I
and
mean-
pick up a few things.
I think that's interesting that twice he got into a secure building or a secure facility
Wow.
Yes.
with that.
Yes,
That
and
can't be luck.
This is the most powerful taser on the market.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I think what you should do is, it would be great publicity. You have books in your pocket next time you get pulled,
Kids, don't try this
Exactly.
at home.
Well, they're calling you away. This is my fourth book right here. Mention the publisher. You get the cuffs, put in your teeth. That's the right way to do it. I'm sorry we can do this. Anita Meyer is our guest. Now we have a graph that you want to talk to us about. How can we get to that? Do we need to take a break right now? You get to that?
Yes, we'll take a quick pause for the cause, and we're going to come back, and Anita's going to play on our board.
Polish the tinfoil on your hat. The mothership is flying all night long. Stay with us. We are back on the mothership in just a second. We are back flying on the mothership. Our distinguished guest, Anita Meyer, is here. She's the author of 4 books, and she's working on more. We're delighted to have her, and she's got some graphic codes that she wants to solve for us, and we are all fascinated to hear about it. Anita, take it away if you would.
Yes, thank you. I was recently at the APS conference, and the APS conference is the Ancient Artifact Preservation Society.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asked by somebody there to see if I can do a translation on what is known as the Oak Island 90-foot stone. And the stone was found on Oak Island in Nova Scotia in what is called the Money Pit. And there were symbols that were on the stone, and there was an original rubbing that was taken of the stone, and there was also many people that saw it throughout the centuries. And these are the symbols that they say that were on the stone.
It looks like the secret recipe for chicken McNuggets.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah.
Or something they found in the Roswell ship.
Parts is parts.
Yes.
And I do know, I think it was granite, and it was a green type of color. That I do know.
A green stone.
Yes.
Moss. Maybe moss buildup.
Is it stone still in existence? Is it in a museum or it's on eBay for the bids up to $300?
When it was found, it was kept in a house of one of the 3 excavators that found the stone, and it was kept in his house in the fireplace. And then from there, it went to Halifax. And there's all kinds of rumors from where it went from there, and there's rumors that possibly somebody has it, but those are all rumors, and I can't verify any of that.
Interesting.
I just basically was cued into the stone because I am a linguistic specialist, and I can decipher ancient writings.
Okay.
So I'm going to start here. I'm going to tell you these here are the symbols that were recorded to be on the stone, and there have been different kinds of translations, and people say that this is a cipher. Say 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Other sayings. And I did not find that to be the fact. What I clearly see here is when I first saw the stone, the first word that popped out at me is this word right here. And it's the Hebrew word Malkut, which means kingdom. So when I first saw that word, I started looking at the other words, and I started realizing that they're all Hebrew words. So let me start out here. The first word here, this is a Paleo, and it's also a Phoenician Hebrew letter D. It's known in Hebrew, it's a Dalet. And so these little dot marks here are what have confused a lot of researchers that are trying to translate this. And so these little dots here, you see 2 little dots like this, and you see 3 little dots here. And what they are is those are actually the Hebrew cantillation marks, the Hebrew vowel marks. And I have them written out here, and they're the vowels. So if you have a line under a letter, it's an ah sound. You have one here with a little dime, ah. 3 dots, eh. 2 dots, a. 1 dot, I. A little dot and a little mark up here, that's E. 2 dots here, U. And U. So on this stone here, they use the vowel marks as actual letter sounds. So here we have a D, here's an A, and another D. So in Hebrew, you have final letters, and they're a little bit different. There's 5 final letters, and so sometimes they end a word with a final letter. So that's why I think they turned this pyramid shape upside down. So the first word here, it's a derivative of 2 words, but it is the word Daoud, which means David in Arabic. And it's also a word derivative of the word Ad, which means witness. So the word could have 2 meanings. It could be saying David, Daoud, or it could be saying witness. The second word here is Daquad, which means come and go. And it's also, there's a derivative which Darad, which means point. And ironically, there's an arrow here. An image of an arrow that's on the stone, and it's pointing downward. So this third word here is clearly a Hebrew word, and this is a Hebrew letter Aleph, right here. This is a Hebrew letter M, and here is the Hebrew letter D, or it's a Paleo or a Phoenician Hebrew letter D. And it spells the Hebrew word Amad, which means to stand. Here is, let me back up here. This is a D, this is a Q, and this is an A, Aleph, and here's another D. So these are clearly Paleo Hebrew words and Paleo Hebrew letters and Phoenician letters. And they also match up very closely to the Hebrew letters.
There's kind of an intergalactic Scrabble game going on here.
Kind of.
Triple word score over there.
the Phoenicians and the Hebrews ever had anything to do with each other.
But the writing is very similar.
Huh. They didn't teach that in history in school. I guarantee you that.
Did you ever see the movie The Christmas Story with the kid with his West rifle? Yeah. So you're going to translate into drink your Ovaltine?
A crummy commercial?
I'm waiting for it to come out. There's this concrete commercial here. It's like finger licking good with you. Yeah. I'm sorry, Nita. Have you cracked the code? Have you got the message?
Yes, so we will continue here.
Solve the puzzle, Wheel of Fortune. I'd like to buy a vowel. Rent the...
You get $10,000.
Yeah. I'll rent the lower
like
colon.
An
Okay, sorry.
So
let's crack this code.
This is a very important message.
I'm sorry it is. We're listening to it. Yes, okay.
Mm-hmm. So this word here is, it means amad. It's the Hebrew word amad, and it means to stand. Mm-hmm. And the next word here is malkut, which means kingdom. Here we come down to the next word here. And this is an E, this is an H, this is an A, this is a T, A, and a Q.
Give me a T, give me an A, give me a Q.
And this is saying Yehuatak.
Gesundheit.
Which is actually Judah, or it's pronounced Yehuda in Hebrew. But I think that there's a mixture here between the native Micmac Indians who are native to Oak Island. And so I think that it's phonetically sounded and spelled out too. So this here is Yehuatak, which is Judah, Yehuda. The next word here is Aleph Aleph E K K E S, and it spells the Hebrew word Aakez, which is a word that means a chest, a box of some sort. Mm-hmm. The next word here is Hueqtt, and it's saying Huecht, but it's really the Hebrew word Ruach, which means spirit. And the last word is of most importance, and it's the Hebrew word, it's U-Q-E, and it's Uwe, but they're trying to say Yehovah, which is God. Mm-hmm. So the translation is witnesses, as in David, come and go, but the kingdom of Judah stands, and within the chest dwells the Spirit of God.
Are they talking about the Ark of the Covenant right there? Is that what this is going for?
It could quite possibly be.
Wow.
Huh. Well, it's Canadian, so there should be an A on the end of it.
A? Looking for that Ark there, A.
Yeah. Nothing about hockey in there?
So, what the hell is this doing in Oak Island?
Yeah, good question.
I guess that's $1 million question that probably nobody knows.
90 feet deep in the money pit.
Well, that is a good question, too, because a lot of people think that it was Templars that brought the treasure there.
Now, aren't they the ones that supposedly emptied Solomon's mines before it was sacked again for like the third or fourth time, I guess?
Correct.
That's far way to take it, though, isn't it?
Well, they wanted to get it far and away. I mean, here's the thing with the Templars. The Templars created the Bank of England. I mean, they were the first ones, so if you wanted to travel to the Holy Land and you didn't want to bring your money with you, so you give your money to them somewhere else, and when you get to Jerusalem, your money's there waiting for you, right? Mm-hmm. But it's all based on investors. They're the ones that come up with that whole thing. They were the protectors of the pilgrims to visit the Holy Land. So they were, they started a lot of things. So Jerusalem went back and forth. How many crusades were there? 3, 4? At least. So every time Jerusalem got sacked, when the Templars were around, they would empty the treasure chest and get it out of Dodge because they didn't want it in the hands of the Muslims or who knows what else.
Right to Nova Scotia. I would never look there.
Well, some would say that the Templars got around more than the Vikings did. Very little is really known about exactly what they did. They were kind of secretive, see. They didn't really tell people what they were doing, which is why they were all bad luck on Friday the 13th. See, that's a Templars thing because that was the order by one of the popes who thought the Templars had too much power. So secretly at nighttime on the Friday the 13th, he had them executed. See episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine does the same thing to the Jedi. Everything goes back to Star Wars. Same thing happened to the Templars. So that's the idea. So it's not unheard of that if they wanted to get their cool stuff out of Dodge, that they would go as far away as possible. Some would say that the Templars, again, went to places that nobody else had ever gone to before. So, it's not impossible. So
Fascinating stuff. Anita Meyer is our guest. We're up against the clock here. Anything you need to plug, let's plug everything you got. Your website, your books. How
yeah,
can
we're
we
gonna
get
have
hold
a
of you?
part 2 to this episode.
We will have a part 2 to this, but
Yes.
we have to part 1. We've got some pizza getting cold. I don't know if it's delivery or DiGiorno, and I'm about to find out in 30 seconds. Anita, one more time, plug your website, if you would.
It's Anita Meyer at Wix.com.
Wix.
WIX.
Yes, WIX.
Carrie will handle that too.
I'm also on Facebook under Anita Charlotte Meyer. Twitter, author Anita
Right.
Meyer.
And you're available to do presentations. And
Yes.
things
kids
like that.
kids parties and
Kids
so forth.
parties. We all have to learn about. Bring this up for the kids and see how long they pin the tail on the Anunnaki or whatever we're going to do. We have to fly for now. For Greg Meyer, our Millennial Falcon, Carrie Turner. Thank you to Anita Meyer, our guest. We're going to do a number 2. No, we're not going to do a number 2. We're going to have episode number 2. The Mothership flies. My name is Dobie Maxwell, the King of Uranus. We are coming back your way, whether you like it or not. Kirk out. Good stuff.
That was the funniest thing you've ever said.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Wait, make that a band name.
It only took 3 years to get there.
Oh, God, that's funny.
Good stuff. That was good.